Tyler, Tay-K. Uh, this new chat, like, I didn't know. I just have to stay silent, innit? Right. But all you have to do is wait, like, wait, hold on, chat. 1 second. Because I need to. Three people in the chat, you know? Three people on the live. Let's go. Three people on the live. Let's go. I'm telling you, the Tiki case, like, we have to beat the. Come on, like, three people on the live. Like, I'm waiting for the keys. Like, I'm waiting for it to start. Like, what's up? Ooh. Punishment phase. He was found guilty of murder. So, what's the sentence? Still waiting on it. Like, what's the sentence? Hold on 1 second, real quick, chat. Gotta do something. He's looking serious, bro. Is he even on? Oh, oh my God, it's good, yo. Oh, my God, it's good, yo. Me, let's look at 23. Come on, why they meeting it for so long? I thought, chat, that has to be the victim's family. But what she's doing on the computer, bro, she's not doing nothing. Bro's on the Zoom call. He's doing something. My man, oh, Iceberg smiling, bro. Tay-K, my favorite rapper, bro. Every time I say this to people, guys will start laughing. Like, even though my playlist is, let me show you my playlist. That is my playlist. 132 items, 6 hours, 16 minutes. Listen, basically the whole Take It album, like the Take It album slaps, like a bit of Kanye, Drake, X. You know, it's a variety of things. So what time does it actually start? Because how long? Things go on for 12 minutes. Take It got some nice Ralph Lauren fit. Nicely, he's looking clean. But will he see his freedom though? But come on. What? Are they saying something? They must be saying something. They're just not saying nothing. 73 likes. ChatGPT is moving slow though. Wait, hold on. Bruh, wait, hold on. I've tried the thing again. Uh, look, ChatGPT is moving slow. 5 to 99 years. That's what I told you. What time? I'll tell you what time. Like Tuesday, Twitters being live streamed. It's not telling me the time. Now it's moving slow. It's searching the web. Why is it searching? Oh my days. Click for capital metro. The license is on. Now he faces additional 5 to 99 years in prison. Ah, come on. I can't like, while we wait, we go watch a little bit of Christ in that. While we wait. Because why not? Christ.
Room check right now. Everybody in the Discord, room check, y'all. All right, put your camera on. Yeah,
Is it
you
working
good?
now?
Yeah, flip your camera.
Yeah, it's not working, Kai.
Yes, it is. It is. Okay. Okay.
It's working right now?
Yeah.
Right, chat, are you back up? Yeah. What the hell? I'm not view botting, like. I hate when people just come to my life and stop promoting weird things, like. I'm not view botting.
Hey,
Bro! It's been 40 minutes! Oh, did they start? No way, you cannot take this long, bro. You are the way.
He can testify to, and it may be misleading to the jury because there's very
Finally,
vague
chat.
portions explaining many different attributes to it that don't have any relevance with this particular defendant.
If they would like
Y'all.
to proffer it for the record, we can proffer the testimony for the record. And
Well, I haven't seen the slides, so show me the slides.
yes, Your Honor, can I email it to the court?
Yes. Any objections to them emailing it to the court?
No, Your Honor.
Oh, everyone, please be seated.
Come on, Tay-K 47.
I believe it's sent, Your Honor.
All right. I'm waiting for it.
Good old Bear County Wi-Fi.
Deputy Laura?
No?
Yeah. They have something that they want to go over, so.
All right, I'll let them have a go sit down again.
All right, thank you. All right, we're on the record. And we're gonna go over this PowerPoint. So, if everyone could get on the same page that the court is on, the court is in receipt of the PowerPoint that I believe the witness, Dr. Fabian, would like to present to the jurors. All right, first slide. Any objections to the first slide?
No, Your Honor.
Second slide, any objections?
No.
Third slide, any objections?
No, Your Honor.
Fourth slide, any objections?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, what are the objections to slide number 4?
It seems that they're just putting down his testimony in writing, and just at this point hearsay, Your Honor.
All right.
It's a demonstrative, Your Honor. We're not offering it for the jury to take back. The state had several demonstrative exhibits we didn't object to, but I don't think that we could have.
All right, so here's the thing. So both parties will know. Objections that people made or did not make to other sides, that's not a factor in my consideration on whether or not something should be admitted. So, with regards to this slide that we're on now, state it appears that it's related to, just one moment. Deputy Laura, I'm getting feedback from the witness thing. What's that turned off?
Okay.
All right, thank you. It appears to the court that these are risk factors that are specifically related to the defendant. Is that correct? And Dr. Fabian, you can unmute yourself, please. And I'm gonna go ahead and swear you in. Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I swear.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Yes, John Matthew Fabian.
All right, is there going to be any objections to this witness appearing by Zoom?
No.
Did the oath.
No, Your Honor, it's on our request, thank you.
All right. Any objections, because I want us to get to the point of these slides, any objection to the court asking the witness a couple of questions with regards to these slides so that I can see whether or not they should be admitted as demonstrative?
I have no objection.
No objection.
All right, so the slide I'm looking at that says Tamar McIntyre mitigation themes, is that related to this defendant specifically?
Yes.
All right. So, with regards to that, it appears that it is not demonstrative. It is testimony that he is going to be given about your client. So, if it were a general slide about, we look at risk factors among adolescents, that would be fine. But this slide appears that it's specific testimony. So, the objection to that slide is going to be sustained by the state. Then with regards to...
I'm so sorry, Your Honor, I got off. The slide titled Tamar McIntyre Mitigation Themes,
Yes.
you're saying is not admissible? Or
No,
not?
because that's his testimony. It's not a demonstrative. It's his specific testimony about your client. So that slide will be removed.
Dr. Fabian, will you be able to remove the slides from, since you were going to share the PowerPoint through Zoom, will you be able to remove the slides as the judge instructs?
Yeah.
Okay. So that one, number 4, the state's objection to that one will be sustained. Any objection to slide 5?
Objection, I don't think the relevance.
All right. What is the relevance, state, to the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention? That's sealed.
Sorry,
what is
state? Are you asking Dr. Fabian?
Yes. No, I'm asking you, counsel, because it just appears that
He slide jumping you,
this
though.
is a slide with a seal on it.
Dr. Fabian, could you advise as to why that slide is in your PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah, it is the author of the next slide.
All right. All right, then the objection to that slide, number 5, that will be overruled. With regards to number 6, are these factors that you look at or that the author looks at in making a determination about a defendant's propensity or state in life, for want of a better word? Are these factors you're considering?
Yes. They are part of my testimony, so
Dr. Fabian, are these things that are generally matters that you look into when you're making a forensic assessment of someone, or are they specific to Mr. McIntyre?
both.
All right, so this slide number 6, is this specific to Mr. McIntyre, or is this just generally all of the factors that you look into?
No, I mean, well, there are factors when we're dealing with a juvenile that's charged with homicide, but they apply exactly to his case.
All right, number 6, state that will be overruled. Number 7, that will be overruled, that will be allowed. Number 8, that will be allowed. Number 9, what are the objections to 9, state?
Your Honor, it seems at some point, I mean, as I read through these,
Yes.
they get repetitive. So I believe, like, it's just repetitive and being bolstered.
But what's the slides they're talking
Alright.
about? I want to see the slides.
So number 9, if you can remove number 9.
Okay.
Number 10, that will be allowed. Number 11 remains. Number 12 remains.
Your Honor?
Yes.
On that one?
Yes.
I see that there's X's at the end of some of these, and there's not X's on some, so I believe this is gonna be direct testimony.
Is number Number 12, Dr. Fabian, is that direct testimony?
These are the 10 adverse childhood experience risk factors and the 8 that are X applied to the defendant.
All right, so that'll need to be removed.
Okay.
And that's not saying that you can't testify if that is your testimony, but it just can't be given as a slide because then it's not demonstrative. Number 13 is
Well,
that.
and I'm sorry, Your Honor, you want me to just get rid of the X's and keep it no 8 and just have the 10 just as those factors?
I mean, if you want to say that though, I mean, I don't know what your testimony per se will be. I have an idea because I've seen you testify before, but
Yeah.
state if he removes the X's.
I guess, Your Honor, then it'd be repetitive.
What the
All
hell?
right, so yes, if you'll remove slide number 12, please.
Yeah, repetitive, I'm sorry, to what? Because I don't have these factors on.
Oh, that's okay. If you just remove slide 12.
Okay.
Number 13, that remains.
The hell?
14 remains.
Judge,
Yes.
I guess, I don't know, just that, I don't want to rehash and I'll stop after this, but on this one, it just says life expectancy. I don't understand how that's even relevant to these proceedings.
It's relevant because someone is going to be sentenced for a lengthy period of time, may die in prison, and that needs to be a factor that's considered.
Wait,
I don't think it is whether someone, their mortality.
wait. 6 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours, 8 hours, 7 hours. That was yesterday. Oh, they did stream until.
To this witness, but it was when the defendant was.
14, you can ask whatever questions you want to ask about that, and if there are objections, the court will make a ruling on those objections.
Okay.
Number 15.
Talk about some slides. What the hell?
As being inherently suspect and recognize that they can't corroborate.
I'm not sure what. Okay, and at some point, did your attention turn to that vehicle?
Yes,
Okay, and why is that?
because there was a altercation that was going on, and
Okay.
so we all turned to look.
-04242102.
Yes.
Okay, and since you've reviewed states 7 through 9 inclusive,
That's relevant.
It's not relevant at this time, Your Honor.
It's conditionally relevant. I mean,
Well, if you say it's conditionally relevant, but if you don't have the person to testify, then that
all I
court is
all I
not
can say is
upset
that,
with the state's
as I've
attorneys.
stated in
The
opening,
court is not
as I
upset with the
anticipate the
defense
evidence will show
attorneys.
when we call a fact witness, this slide will become relevant. And that's my representation to the court. Obviously, if for whatever reason my evidence does not end up supporting that, the court is welcome to instruct the jury to disregard the testimony about multi-generational factors.
Okay,
Disregard the testimony about multi-generational factors.
okay, so with regards to slide and 21, what are there objections?
20 and 21, Your Honor?
Yes, I'm asking the state if they have any objections.
Judge, no, I mean, as long as it's not testimony about this particular defendant and just in general.
Yes.
All right, Dr. Fabian, 20 and 21, is that general? I'm sure.
I mean, that was the plan, yeah.
All right, so
I kind of try. Slide boring. I don't know. I've been live for 55 minutes and nothing's going on. Like, where's the sentence got happening? Like,
24 and 25, those.
I've never been to court before. I've never been to court, so I love watching a court live stream. This is my first time watching a court live stream, and I don't know what they do. Like, it's not even stimulating.
Care of the matter with the witness, if Mr. Lang can fill in for
Sure.
the rest of this hearing.
Yes.
You're right.
Sorry, Judge, where did we leave off?
Oh, no, right. So with regards to, the court will allow the slides in up to number 25. Number 26, that seems that that's more testimony. So 26, if you can remove that and you'll just have to testify.
Which one is that one? Because I did remove them. I'm like, which one is
26 is do insecure adult attachment styles mediate the relationship between childhood maltreatment and violent behavior.
that? Okay.
All right, meta-analysis of attachments to parents in delinquency.
They're checking slides. So.
You said 26?
Is he will need to remove that slide, but he can testify.
So I think they have to remove some of the slides so they can testify, I think. I'm not sure. Why is the computer off, bro? She's not doing nothing! Nothing!
28 will be allowed. 29. Any objections?
He was saying relevancy, Your Honor.
And we would offer it as a learned treatise, Judge. as
All
an
right,
exception.
29 will be allowed. 30, that will be removed. He'll just need to testify to that. And 30 is the brain development and trauma.
Yeah.
31, that will be allowed. 32 is allowed. 33 will need to be removed. You can testify.
Okay.
34, removed. You can testify. 35, removed. You can testify. 36, removed. You can testify.
And Judge, I'm sorry, I haven't, is the state objecting to these? being
They're
removed?
objecting to all the
So
slides.
you're objecting
Yes.
just
Yeah.
whole cloth to everything as hearsay or what?
Correct, yes. Hearsay, relevancy.
Yes.
Okay. I would object to their objection. I hope the court would take note of that. I don't believe that any of these slides that you removed from 30 to 36 would be inadmissible for any reason.
All right. So 36 will be removed, but you can give your testimony about it. And some of the reasons why, with regards to that slide, so the record is clear, this is just going to be his testimony. It's not necessarily demonstrative as it relates to that. That's testimony. 37, that will be allowed.
Which one is that one? Sorry.
37 is brain development and delinquency, and I'm allowing that because that's from a treatise, even though necessarily that's something that you could testify to, but I'll allow it.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. The what does it start with? Like
Empirical research
yeah,
supports.
research?
Yes.
Got it.
38 will be allowed. $39 and $40 allowed. 41, you'll just have to testify.
Okay.
So if you remove 41. 42 will be allowed. 43 is allowed. 44 needs to be removed.
Pure yapping, bro.
Expertise.
No, we know. Dr.
Yes, I think everybody does.
We understand that he's an expert in this.
All right, let's bring the jurors in.
This judge.
You're
The medicine leaves an aftertaste in my mouth. It's almost metallic. Like you're getting a piece of.
And Your Honor, I just want to make sure I understand. I think if I understand the court's ruling correctly, you've asked to remove these slides because they are reflective of his testimony. But you haven't made any preliminary rulings about the substance of the testimony. I'm allowed to
No.
ask those questions.
Yes, you're allowed to ask those questions.
Thank you, Judge.
And so the court is clear. The slides were removed because the specific slides that the court ruled to be removed were removed because they're testimony and not demonstrative. The defense is allowed to ask the witness questions about those slides that were removed, but they're not demonstrative.
I
All right,
understand.
let's bring the jurors in.
All right, for the jury.
the jury coming in. Yeah. Jury.
All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, defense, call your witness.
Defense calls Dr. John Fabian.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Fabian has been previously sworn in, so he's under oath. He's appearing by Zoom because he was unable to appear in court. So both parties have agreed that they have no objection to Mr. Fabian appearing by Zoom. Is that correct, State?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Defense, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Dr. Fabian, if you can state your name for the record, please, and spell your last name.
Yes, John Matthew Fabian, Fabian.
All right, defense, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Dr. Fabian.
Good afternoon.
If you could briefly
But
just
it's
tell
not-
the jury what you do for work.
I work as a forensic psychologist and a neuropsychologist.
And in addition to those fields, is there any other field that you have credentials or training in?
It's essentially clinical and forensic psychology and neuropsychology and law as well.
Okay, and in terms of the word forensic, that means that you're dealing with courtrooms a lot?
Yes, just addressing, answering legal, forensic and mental health legal questions that courts, judges, lawyers have that I can address through evaluation, typically.
How long have you been testifying about matters of forensic psychology?
About 26 years.
26
Have you
years.
published anything in this particular field?
I have. I've published quite a bit. It basically in areas that I work in, such as, not guilty by reason of insanity, competency to stand trial, forensic assessment of violence, let's say, and basically neuroscience and violence or sexual violence. So basically publishing in areas that I practice in.
Now, you're obviously appearing to us through a television screen. If you could please explain what exactly it is that keeps you from being in court with us today.
Oh, it's another never-ending death penalty case in Harris County, Houston, Texas. I've been here for about this is the second week of just part of the trial. So that's what I've been doing.
In terms of this case, are you familiar with Mr. Tamor McIntyre?
I am, yes.
And were you asked to do a forensic consultation with regard to Mr. McIntyre and his case?
I was, yes.
If you could please discuss for me the things that you reviewed in order to prepare for this case.
Sure. So, your team had provided me with some information just about his background history. So there was Tarrant County juvenile probation records that I had reviewed. I had also reviewed some police reports, I think, for him and family members. And there was, I believe, psychological evaluation from Tarrant County as well when he was a juvenile.
Okay, you mentioned family. Who did you speak with respect to Mr. McIntyre's family?
So I interviewed Mother Jolena, Sister Kayla, Father Kevin, and paternal grandfather Russell.
Did you look into anything related to his academics or his intelligence or matters pertaining to that?
Yes, I had interviewed your client as well, or examined him on April 2nd and April 3rd, 2025. So I also obtained information about his background history from him.
Okay. Is that common to do, to get that kind of information self-reported from the patient or from the defendant?
Absolutely, yes.
Did you review anything with regard to Mr. McIntyre's mental health?
Yes, I did. That was primarily from the psychological report that was done for his initial juvenile case in Fort Worth and Tarrant County. And so he had been evaluated there by a psychologist. And that was, I think, in about 2016. And actually, I think the date of evaluation was November 15, 2016. This one was actually by Bear County psychologist Monica Jeter, and that provided me information. He had a history of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and treatment with Adderall for that condition.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about matters related to the psychology of an offender that are significant, both in this case and in cases generally. When you're trying to evaluate these matters to determine or to help talk to people who are determining a sentence, what are some of the things that you look for?
Well, I look a lot at their background history and their family histories, kind of where I start every case.
Okay. With respect to Mr. McIntyre, were there any risk factors that you would... I'm sorry.
The information gathering, sorry.
Just one moment. So if y'all can make sure one person talks at a time. So defense, if you will ask your question, please.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I think we might have had a buffering problem.
Yes.
I thought he was finished talking. Dr. Fabian, with respect to Mr. McIntyre, were there any aspects of Mr. McIntyre's history, whether it be mental health, family history, background and upbringing, that you were looking at to determine whether or not there were pre-existing risk factors before these cases came to light?
Ooh, no. Okay.
Yes, there were a number of areas pertinent to your question.
Could you?
So, you may explain?
Yes, please.
Okay. I look at this as multi-generational in nature. So I did talk to his mother. And if I may briefly describe her background.
Please.
Okay. She had informed me that she was...
I'm just going to object to hearsay.
Sustained.
And Your Honor, just for the purpose of the record, we would be offering it as a statement that was obtained for the purpose of medical diagnosis.
For the purpose of this trial, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Without going into what she specifically said, Dr. Fabian, are there some aspects about the people in Mr. McIntyre's life, his parents, that you thought were significant and relevant to what was going on in Mr. McIntyre's development?
Yes, there was a family history positive for criminality, substance abuse, mental illness, and prostitution.
Prostitution?
And those were factors that I thought were significant, for his parents and then when he was born. So that's kind of where I would start in my investigation.
Okay, and just before we go any deeper into that, can you explain a little bit what you mean by multi-generational trauma? What does that look like?
Well, it looks like the parents of the defendant had a lot of adversity and trauma in their lives growing up, and when he was born, after he was born, there was family separation and instability, and that's not uncommon with what I know about his parents' background history.
Okay, and when those kinds of circumstances are in play, what effects can that have?
That could lead to what we call developmental psychopathology in offspring. And that could be, psychiatric conditions that would be relevant to, Timur and his siblings, let's say. It's my understanding that there was, maternal substance use during pregnancy with him, and he had early emotional behavioral difficulties, and then later depression, suicidality, and his own substance abuse problems.
What is polytrauma?
Polytrauma is just when someone has a number of different types of traumatic events that they've either been exposed to or witnessed.
So, like, for example, psychological and physical abuse, that would be a polytrauma case? Or is that
Yes.
what you mean? Okay.
Yes. So there.
Go ahead. Sorry, doctor.
Well, I don't know if you want me to elaborate as to his history of that.
Please.
Sure. He and his sister had, Kayla had bounced around quite a bit. So they had lived with mom, and eventually they were, I think, in a hotel in Las Vegas, and she had been involved with crystal methamphetamine, and social services got involved, the police got involved, and they were taken, and they were placed in Child Haven, which is a orphanage setting, and they were then moved to different foster homes. And so there was abuse and I would say more emotional neglect within the foster home than one particular placement. And then they had also witnessed significant domestic violence by father to mother, I believe even before that. And father had gone to prison for that assault against mother. So eventually they were placed with their grandfather, and that was the most stability I think they had. That was a paternal grandfather named Russell, and he had them for about 40 years, and I think they thrived at that point. And then once father was taken out of, or was released from prison, he reached out and wanted the children. So they went back with father. And I think this is more in the Arlington, Texas area. And father and stepmother were raising Tamar and his sister Kayla for a while. I learned that there was abuse in that home, and they started running away, especially Tamar.
Can you tell the jury about what damaged attachment is?
Damage attachment is really, the attachment processes is critical to, child development. So it's really the connection, physical, emotional connection between child and caregivers. And then really it serves as a lens to how, child views the world and how they develop emotionally, kind of how they think, perceive, the world, and how they develop and how they socialize. And in this case, it was very, I would say, damaged because there was really a lack of stability and continuity and with the caretaking, because it was just, they bounced around a lot to different states and caregivers,
So,
and were involved in the system.
so the more people that sort of fill that role as caregiver, in an inconsistent and ad hoc way, does that have adverse effects on how children come to understand the world and how they relate to people?
Perfectly said, yes.
So, in this case, you're evaluating questions related to, which I think you've called neurodevelopmental disorder, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And then you mentioned also that there's the brain dysfunction issues. Is that the ADHD component that you discussed?
That, and it can be how the brain develops in a basically a traumatic environment. So those two issues of neurodevelopmental disorder, which would be ADHD as an example of one, but also just growing up with abuse and neglect can also affect how the brain develops as well. I can kind of show some slides if you wish, but on a PowerPoint, but basically that is relevant to the case here, because we have to remember he was I think only 16 when I think this offense occurred.
You mentioned that you prepared some slides to discuss some of the topics that you're here to discuss with the jury today.
Yeah, I did.
Would you mind sharing that with us?
Yeah, sure. Let me pull those up. I'm going to share my screen, Your Honor,
All right.
and probably take over the screen here. Can you see what I got?
Yes.
Feel free.
Okay.
Picture.
So we covered some of this. Well, I don't need to talk about myself, but let me, we may want to go back, counselor, but we're talking about attachment here.
Right.
Okay, and this is basically what I mentioned before. And then if we're going to talk about the brain, first of all, just with development, it's relevant to self-identity, sense of self with others in the world, and really emotional regulation and social development, okay? So the concerns I have in this case, and a lot of cases I do when there's damaged attachment, is that there's going to be a risk for, like I said, we call it developmental psychopathology, but often that basically means mental health issues or conditions developmentally from childhood through adulthood. So
that slide there says the phrase insecure and disorganized attachment.
Yes. So, there's been studies just in juvenile delinquency, and they've, examined delinquents and found that they are at risk for two types of attachment conditions with caregivers, and one's insecure and one's disorganized. And in essence, they found that there is a correlation between attachment, and I will just call it damage attachment for brevity, and juvenile delinquency.
Now, are you familiar with these types of orphanages that serve as both the housing for the children that are in their care, as well as where they go to school, where they do their extracurriculars, so it's all on one campus?
Yeah, I used to work at one of those during my master's degree, and they're very similar, and they have, unfortunately, everyone is kind of in the same pot, so to speak. They all come from broken homes with a lot of these kind of negative consequences, mental health issues, addiction, criminality, and so they're placed all together.
So that kind of an orphanage that has some similarities to juvenile detention or to adult jails?
Yes, and oftentimes they don't have the deterrence in the orphanage because they're often not locked. Okay, so the kids can often run wild and cause problems
Within the facility?
Correct, and then in this case, Timur was fostered out, I think, to, it's my understanding, at least a couple foster families. One that was more consistent, it was about 2 years with a woman, and there was some concerns about abuse and neglect in that foster placement.
Okay, which would go back to this problem about improper or inadequate attachment based upon multiple caregivers, multiple situations.
Yeah, I mean, within the family and outside the family. So there's just a lot of inconsistency, instability, and that is obviously going to place a youth at risk to have some developmental issues.
Now, I did want to go back for a moment, Doctor. You had mentioned we might need to. Are you familiar with the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention?
Yes, I am.
And I gather that they published some work on trying to assess these risk factors and how they may contribute to later life delinquency.
Yes, they have.
Could you talk to us a bit about that?
Sure. So, the Department of Justice has done research on just risk factors of juvenile delinquency, violence, and I would say even young adult violence. And they basically just found different domains that make sense, just individual risk factors inherent pursuant to that person's psychological, psychiatric functioning and mental health makeup, so to speak. Family factors, they have a lot to do with just the structure of the family, who's there, is it broken, who's raising the children, but also family management practices, including discipline, supervision, and then school, peers, and the community. So there, when we're looking at these cases, there is a cumulative type response or outcome. So the more domains and risk factors, the more likely the youth will have difficulties in life and engage in delinquent and violent behavior. So in this case, there are certain factors relevant. I can briefly go through them if you wish.
Please.
This defendant, Timur, had evidence of hyperactivity. He was not of low intelligence, but he did have a significant ADHD condition treatment. There were emotional factors. It's my understanding that he struggled without having his parents around, and eventually there was again some neglect where I think mom had left the children just abandoned in a hotel in Las Vegas, and that's when CPS got involved. Later on, there was more stability with grandfather, but then not so much with father. There's more abuse, and that's when he was running away and engaging in more antisocial delinquent behavior, which connects to more of the peer factors. He was associated with delinquent peers, and it's my understanding that both he and his sister, and more Timur, was running away from the fathers due to the abuse. And it was difficult, I think, for him to consistently attach to schools and his academics and success in that area because of a lot of the moves, neighborhood changes, let's say. So that's kind of how I conceptualize this case within the Department of Justice kind of risk factor